What is the most effective psychological trick you use? Let people think they are smarter and dig their own hole. That's so clever. Tell us more. To make the women in my fitness class work harder, I compliment them. I tell them how strong they look or how beautiful they look or straight their posture is. If their posture isn't straight, it becomes straight after I say that their posture looks amazing. It worked when I was a high school teacher and it works with little kids too. Always compliment, reward genuine hard work. It motivates people to do more. This reads very differently depending on whether you're an instructor or just some rando in the class. They will RE us. This reminds me of a story my sociolinguistics professor told me. She was on a women's rowing crew in university and their coxswain, the person at the front steering and yelling directions to the team, was sick. So a male coxswain filled in for practice, while the female coxswains just yell encouragement. When my GF annoys me, I look at her through a fork and pretend she's in jail. It makes me feel better. This is cute. With younger kids who have trouble going to bed, or getting off their tablets or whatever time they enjoy when they need to do something else, ask them if they want to have amount of time you prefer, more minutes, or 5 less minutes than the minutes they prefer. They will often be more understanding when it's time to move on because they were given some freedom of choice. Example, it's time to start bedtime routine and your kid is playing Minecraft. They don't want to get off and usually start crying about it. You say, hey, it's almost time to get ready for bed. Do you want 15 more minutes or 10 more minutes? They will usually choose 15 and normally won't fight about it because, hey, they could have had 10 minutes instead. If it was me, I'd think my parents were idiots for thinking there'd be any other decision. That's exactly why it works XXXX. TL. Doctor, ask a question intentionally assuming incorrect information to get someone to talk more about a topic. I'm a conversation English teacher with a lot of Japanese students. It makes my job harder when they are quiet or give me only one-word answers. Some students are really stubborn. If I show a shy kid a picture of an elephant and ask what's this, they'll get bored, run off, anything but answer my question. But if I say this is a giraffe, they'll all stand up and scream, no, teacher, that's an elephant, and suddenly they are engaged. I have a feeling it's tapping into the same thing that makes people comment on Reddit most of the time, correcting someone who is wrong. It works on adults too. If I ask a stubborn adult student, tell me about your engineering job, they'll usually say something like I design systems, and then I have to ask an endless stream of follow-up questions with one-sentence answers. But, if I say something like, so, I see you're an engineer, that means you build engines, right? They can't wait to correct my ignorance fast enough. They'll go into detail explaining what an engineer is, what it isn't, and what kind they are. I'll just have to chime in with "are you sure?" every few minutes and then they are talking up a storm for the rest of the class. The only downside is that sometimes I get annoying arrogant ding-dongs that get condescending, but that's the price you pay for psychological manipulation. Edit. There's also a bit of a power dynamic at play specific to my job, so if I show that I'm ignorant about a topic they are knowledgeable in, it gives them some authority in the conversation and builds their confidence. They feel less embarrassed about making English errors because I've already embarrassed myself with my ignorance. Manipulating the power dynamic can make the conversation smoother. Cunningham's law states the best way to get the right answer on the internet is not to ask a question, it's to post the wrong answer, unless it's a Linux forum, where you say how the software is for not doings is like Windows does. If you want anyone to like you, try to mirror their body language subtly. They will for some reason want it to be around you more. Simple. Name repetition, personality mirroring, and never breaking off a handshake. I'd go easy on the name repetition though. I always feel immediately uneasy when people use my name in conversation for no real reason. Hi, name. Great to see you today. But if they say it in the middle of the conversation, it's fishy. I told our children their hands turn red when they lie. Two oldest show me their hands. Yeah, Jess looks at hers busted. I have a friend whose kids would fake being asleep for various reasons. She told them I can always tell when you're pretending to be asleep because you don't beep like you normally do when you're really asleep. I've actually seen her son do it. Eventually I got fed up and decided to use classical conditioning to fix my problem. I started to play the same song each night before we went to sleep, and eventually, He started to fall asleep to the song at night. So, whenever he came back drunk, I would simply play the song and he'd just pass out without any excessive talking. Pavlov's roommate. If you want someone to add more details or info to their story, stay quiet when they believe they've finished speaking. Also, I hate when people do this to me. So he told me his plans for the weekend and I stayed quiet. I'll then explained it again and I stayed quiet. Third time, yup, sounds like a plan. I'll and explained it once again. I think he reached his max. I stare at a guy's lips then go back up to his eyes a few times if I want him to kiss me. It works. Does it work with random girls? It works only on particular girls. When I'm on a bus, I make eye contact with everyone getting on and feeling awkward. They don't sit beside me unless it's the only seat left available. Last year, I did that and one guy held eye contact with me. A few days later school started and I found out that was my new teacher. Reverse psychology with my dog though. When she is throwing a tantrum in public, I just go, scream louder, kick harder. See Monday, let's make everybody hear your big tantrum. She will just say no mammy, I don't want to, and just calm down and move on. Doesn't work on my niece. To her, it's like I'm setting the stage for her big audition, and she wants the judges to fight each other over who gets to hit the golden buzzer. I say it in a very calm voice though. I show her that her tantrum does not affect me at all. That way she realizes that I'm in control, not her. Spiraling out of control or can feel my heart racing, naming them out loud, inside my own head usually. It's a good way to recenter myself and bring me out of the negative feedback loop I've got myself in. Hey, check out 5-step grounding, basically a longer version of this. One way to make friends is ask them for a favor. The Benjamin Franklin effect. No, you can't borrow any money. When working on group projects, if you want someone else in the group to do something, this makes it sound like less work and they will be more willing to do it. Halfway through, tell them good job, keep going and they'll probably finish it. Very useful for lab reports. Hell yeah. And clearly identifying a deadline also helps. Not like you must finish everything by this date exactly, but if you start on that soon. Do you think you'll have this smaller subtask done by this date time? Repeat with each subtask until everyone involved has a clear understanding of the work in front of them and the time they're gonna do it in. Alternatively, in a more dynamic project, don't organize new deadlines until the previous subtask is complete. When engaging in any chat battle in LoL, respond with, "It tilts them off the face of the earth 8/10 times. I find it more amusing to say nothing in response, and just throw out that question mark randomly. People go effing wild because everyone's using it to flame, so they think I can see them or something like that. I've done it to some extent for a while but broadened it a ton, and not just like fun stuff. Like I love myself enough I stopped for gas on the way home so that I won't have to tomorrow. Past me loves me a tune. She's great and does amazing things for me. The more I think of it this way, the better my self-esteem and self-image get. And generally they're things I'm doing anyways. I have to stop for gas regardless. But I could have waited until tomorrow when I need gas ASAP, or could stop tonight when I still had a little gas and was tired. I chose to stop because I know waiting too long with gas is inconvenient and stresses me out, and that future me really will appreciate the full tank tomorrow. I do this exact thing. Sometimes I'll prank myself, doing silly things I know I'll forget about and find later. Give it a shot. I started doing this about 10 years ago as part of an overall lifestyle change to reduce anxiety. My life motto is now do what you can today to make tomorrow better for you. Stop worrying about it until tomorrow. I admit that it took several years of practice to get good at it. Not giving a ref. It is harder than it sounds. Most people have insecurities or are nervous and anxious about stuff. If you master the art of not giving a ref, you will find peace, quiet and happiness. Make sure to find the sweet spot though. There are things in life that need a ref every now and then. Your comment reminded me of the book. I like that book. It didn't totally fit for me. I then dated a guy I wasn't totally attracted to and broke up with him after 4 months. I liked the format of bullet points of advice after each chapters, and I could see this book being really beneficial for other people. Naturally I thought of you first because you're good at this stuff. Can you help me out? What's your opinion on this job? Or generally something to that effect. So many things like this are used on me by my boss, and I hate that they work lol. Having my boss ask for my opinion on something, even when I know full well nothing I say will actually matter, is a huge ego boost. Remember people's names and a little bit about them. Recognize them when you see them again. Next thing you know, lots of people like you know your name and recognize you in return. Simple trick. Many of us want to be recognized as existing in life by someone else and are likely to return the favor. I do this unknowingly. I guess people just aren't used to being paid attention to. And my memory is effing amazing when it comes to people for the most part. I can remember a lot of things but it might not be the person it came from. You'd be surprised how many people take it as a compliment when you remember something small about them. I have trouble remembering names of people I meet. I developed this trick as a teenager and it has worked 100% of the time all the way into my 30s. It goes like this. Whenever you inevitably start chatting with someone you met a week ago, I simply go through the motions for about 10 minutes. After a little small talk, I'll abruptly insert this non sequitur into our conversation and excitedly ask, "Hey, what's your middle name?" I leave zero time for them to respond before I quickly spew out my full name. Without fail, the other person always repeats their full name back within seconds. Oh cool, did you ever go by it? And then I just let the conversation flow back to whatever feels natural while silently cementing their entire name into my head and without giving the vibe that mere seconds ago I had no idea what their first name even was. This wouldn't work on me. I would just say, I don't have a middle name. And I would also wonder why you said your full name if I already knew it. I'd be like, okay. I give my students two options on tests, A and B. I want them to choose A and make them use their brains, but it is not a cakewalk. They are unhappy and hate me as a professor, so I make option B so bad they think A is a cakewalk. I get great reviews at the end of the semester for letting them choose the easier one. Has worked for 11 years. Out of curiosity, I always wondered that whenever I was given an option on a test, because I always thought the simple one had some sort of catch to it and that the more complicated one was actually more straightforward in disguise. Showing genuine interest in someone is a good way to get people to trust you and give you the time of day. He was so disorganized and never liked to do his homework. I would note all his HW assignments and post it on the wall behind my desk. I would then give him the choice of what HW assignment he wanted to do first. This worked and he got his assignments all done with minor squabbles but overall much improved grades and attitude. I'd like to think that because I gave him his choice of what assignment to do he had the mindset that he had total control of his assignments even though I knew all the assignments would get done. At SP, Shout'll watch Louis Rossman's video on procrastination. Tells you exactly why this happens.